but I found the gap that no industries on a large scale were built. So then I was researching on technology like many years in order to find out how do we make like industrialized yarn. So then, after a long period of time, getting the community together, investing our time in building the supply chain. Currently, I am the chief advisor of Hemp Association of Nepal, and we are.
Hey guys, it's Mandi with Global Hemp Association. I wanted to say thank you so much for joining. I'm excited about the opportunity to build a relationship and connect this supply chain. I mean, after all, that's why we started the association. Our association was built on the foundation of connecting supply chain, building relationships, and helping you grow your business. Anyone from farmers, manufacturers, and distributors, people that are passionate about the supply chain, and those creating products selling into biofuels, plastics, textiles, construction, and building materials.
Well, hello. We're live.
Hello.
It's another good week. Pratik, thank you so much for joining me today. I'm really excited to hear what you have going on. But before we dive into who you are and how you got into this industry, I want to remind everybody that's listening, and of course the dog barks right now, but I want to remind everybody that's listening, we have another great interview this afternoon with Pan Exchange to really dive into what the market segments look like for fiber, grain, and cannabinoids, where we're headed, where opportunity is, as well as all of the tools and benefits that Pan Exchange brings to the industry, from helping to get financing, looking at final reports, bringing funding opportunities together. And so I encourage you guys, you can log in, and I'll share the link here in just a minute, but you can log on to our website under the events tab and find all of our upcoming interviews and events that we have scheduled. So I'll share that as Pratik gets into what he's up to. But Pratik, tell me a little bit about who you are and how'd you get into this? I'm curious about your background before you got into hemp.
Yeah, thank you, Mandi. It's an honor to be a part of this conference, and I have been following your work, and it's amazing the way you're inspiring, the way you're bringing the world together.
Well, thank you.
My story is I had seen a dream. I had a vision around 10 years back. The vision was to build a sustainable and holistic world. Mm-hmm. So then I started to research to find sustainable solutions. So I got involved in everything possible. I learned how to build homes out of sustainable technology. I learned about farming. So then, because my focus was, how do we find alternative solutions to the basic needs, food, mm-hmm. shelter, and then the clothes. So then I saw that 250,000 tons of microplastics have been dumped into the ocean every year. And then while finding solution, I came through hemp, and I saw that this amazing magical plant is able to solve half of the problems the world is facing today, because it is able to make around 60,000 products. So then I also looked at my country, and I saw that our country is hemp rich, because this is the place of origin, and hemp and cannabis grows here like earthworms come out of the natural soil naturally. So there are over 111 types of genetics, phenotypes that are found here. So then I also got involved in the small scale and medium scale industries. And I saw that a lot of products are already being made out of hemp. But I found the gap that no industries on a large scale were built. So then I was researching on technology like many years in order to find out how do we make like industrialized yarn. So then after a long period of time, getting the community together, investing our time in building the supply chain. Currently, I am the chief advisor of Hemp Association of Nepal, and we are like our community is built out of 77 districts in 47 districts here. So we are building clusters, we are giving them seeds, we are training them how to cultivate, we are also harvesting it. There are like wild harvest, and then there is also like they are cultivating and they are harvesting it. So in order to build an industry, what I realized is we kind of need the supply chain. So a lot of my work went on that. And my goal was not just, like to build an industry that would profit myself. So my concern was how do we empower the farmers? How do we empower the small scale and medium scale industries? So I saw, like they have like huge potential. They are very hardworking people, but they lack, modern skills like marketing, digital skills, and all of these things. So then we were also training them on that, and we built a public company, that is Udyogi Group Public Limited, where all the clusters from where we source our materials, they have a share in our company. So whatever profit we make through this company, we made the first hemp yarn and nettle yarn in Nepal. So then we have around 150 fabrics. Our goal is not just to, like develop industries that require like big machines, but we also want to save our culture and our heritage. And I believe, like hemp and cannabis, basically we have inherited, and this is part of our culture here, because even like spiritually or religiously, we have a god, like who is Lord Shiva, who actually smokes here. And before 1970s, actually cannabis was legal in Nepal. But later on, like we fall into this trap where, like big institutions, they had their propaganda. So that's why, like the government, they were not smart enough to realize it. So later on, this was, like an attack in our IP, in our like roots. So today we are actually fighting for those routes also. Currently, we are working with the government. We are working in order to legalize, but we don't want to make the mistakes, like what has been done in Canada or America.
Yeah.
So we want to have a better policy, and the policymakers here, basically what they do is they just want to copy paste whatever policies are there, like whatever countries they have like
Mhm.
done. But since they are not on the ground, they don't have the experience, so they need the guidance, but they are open for it. So that's why like what we are trying to do is we are trying to preserve our indigenous seeds. We are because like our story is, that basically this is a place of origin. And we have like we have more than 110 types of genetics, so we have to protect these genetics. And on the process, like we have also been able to develop many products. We have been working on textiles, we have been working with hempcrete, we have also been working with bioplastics. So basically Canaveda, we would be able to make a rocket out of hemp. So also on biofuel, also on like batteries.
Yeah.
So what we want Nepal to be is a hemp capital. And this vision we are also trying to share with the government, and we are trying to make a more, like socialistic kind of reform, where the farmers also get benefited, rather than just, like corporate capitalistic industries who, like have money and they get the license, and like only they benefit and they exploit the people. So we don't want that. And since cannabis and hemp also has like a lot of streams, so there is like medicinal, there is like recreational, there is also industrial. But here in Nepal, the government, kind of was missing the environmental side. So we kind of introduced, that this hemp is able to sequester carbon 20 times more than any other plant. So what we my like expertise is business development, and my vision was how do we build a global supply chain.
Mhm.
Because the logistics after COVID, the logistics price are soaring high, and this has definitely pushed countries to become independent. But at the same time, the big industries are not able to move into hemp because they are not finding enough supply. And it is also very difficult to get the funds, because uh, they are not able to prove the concept because the market is like kind of oversaturated, or it is very complex to work in. The kind of story we hear about green rush and everything, definitely it's all very attractive, but when you like get on the ground, when you get involved, then it is very challenging. But in spite of that, what we have been able to do is we have been able to get like in our platform around 2 million hectares of land. So this is like from different countries, from different part of the world. So basically, we can use these lands in order to grow hemp for like carbon, also to build industries. I have been consulting some countries that are like open, that are willing. Okay, we are willing to like legalize. Okay, this 0.2% THC is also not the problem. We can also change the policy. We just want to be a part of this cake.
Okay,
But
so
yeah.
you can finish, but I've got all kinds of questions I want to ask. And I know some of
Yeah.
these are not your expertise, right? As you may
Yeah.
not be out in the field necessarily. But I'm curious, when you talk about how different Nepal is, can you kind of give some comparisons to, what are those stark differences as somebody's looking to grow an import-export market or potentially work with Nepal? What's different from here in the US compared to Nepal, or China compared to Nepal, Europe?
So basically, like in the West or China, I want to give you an example of fiber. So the
Mhm.
retting that is done is through decorticators. So there are like big farms, like big machine. Definitely, if you want to scale up to, like that level, you would need, to have those machines, and you need to have those like big farms. But here in Nepal, like the processing, how it is done is it is all done by hand. So we are also adding like little decorticators here and there. But our USP, the value that we find is when we are like hand rating the fiber, the strength of the fiber is much more.
Mhm.
And we also have a whole like hand led industry. For example, we make like yarn for carpet industries. So
Mhm.
basically, like these yarns, cannot be made through like spinning. So it has through like spinning, so it has to be spun by hand. So it requires a lot of people, it requires a lot of community. And the way also like how they process the fiber is like without any chemicals. So we
When you
also
say
develop.
process, do you mean like degumming process or carding,
So
spinning?
it is like retting.
Okay.
So it is like retting. So the retting process is done all by hand.
Okay.
And they use the ashes, like they kind of boil it and they do it like that.
Okay. Very, very cool. Okay, so textiles hard market. We talk about this all the time in the US because the quality of fiber, like you said, the equipment that's used, the workforce itself. So talk to me, what was the most appealing? And I think you kind of touched on it, but to really dive into the 150 fabrics you guys have been able to develop, hemp fabrics, right? Talk to me about where that opportunity really is on a global scale as you're developing this.
So we recently signed an agreement with one of the distributors. So it was like an agreement because they have like around 15,000 buying houses and brands and everything. So in Nepal, like what we were lacking is we were lacking the certifications. It is organic, the land is organic, but
Yeah.
basically we need the certification in order to verify. So that's why here like in Nepal, a lot of entrepreneurs, they were falling back because like especially because they are not like educated. They have been working on the ground, they know the technical know-how, but they don't have like exposure. So that's why we kind of solved this issue. Like we have been applying for NOP certification, we got like GOTS. So we have a range of fabrics, like that are hand woven and that are also machine woven. So now we are like kind of plugging this into the market, and it is going really well. And now
Awesome.
our goal is how do we just like scale it.
Mhm. Get more acres and more people. Again,
Yeah,
and I've said this
yeah,
lots of time for anybody that's listened to any of my podcasts is I
yeah,
was so disconnected from the textile industry and the amount of physical labor and the number of people that touch the uh, before the fabric is even woven to yarn, the number of
yeah,
people that touch that yarn, right? And then, or spun to yarn. And then from there, even more into the fabric and then the cut and sew. It really is an opportunity for cultures and countries like yours to really play in the large market because of the labor, availability of labor and land. Um,
yeah.
when you talk scale, right, what's the average size of farm? Right, and where does it really become profitable for your culture, for a farm or a family to get involved in the hemp industry?
So basically, like there are some parts where like we can do like hundreds of hectares, but like our goal is social entrepreneurship.
Mhm.
So that's why like what we do is we kind of have communities and we have these clusters, and hemp is just growing out there in the wild. There are like hundreds and thousands of tons that is just going waste. So
That's great.
yeah. Yeah. So
It's been
whatever the
eradicated
market,
here, but
yeah,
it's
yeah.
pretty cool.
So whatever the market requires, like we get enough. So we recently developed a supply chain nearby the city. So we went and we gave them, the seeds, and we trained them like how to, like grow. But you don't need to actually train them. It's so easy because you just like throw it and it grows. Yeah.
Where we
Yeah.
would be, do you ever wonder like where our globe, our world would be if we hadn't made hemp inaccessible, right? Had there not been regulations placed that made it no longer sustainable or available for large corporations. It slapped me in the face. And that's really why I got into this industry is like we've
Yeah.
got a plastic problem, staring at us in our face. And here we've had solutions, maybe not to eradicate all of our problems, but
Yeah.
definitely to mitigate a lot of them and to bring
Yeah.
back the level of uncertainty we have now because of the plastics market, for example, or the industry.
Yeah, I think like a lot of entrepreneurs like who are involved in hemp, so some get involved through the mind because they see, okay, profit, like there is all
Yeah.
this boom, like there is all this story, and they want to like get a piece of this cake. But there are many who are driven by the heart, and
Mhm.
they actually feel like for the planet, because just look at what is happening there in the world, to Turkey. So let's like pray also, like for all the lives lost in Turkey. So all these natural disasters and everything, because we have created this. Like there was a time before in like history we have seen, like the Bible like be written in hemp, like they have been using like ropes, like Columbus used like hemp ropes.
Yeah.
So basically, like they had been using this since the ancient times, but
Yeah.
then like modern capitalism came in the picture, and they kind of had us disconnected. Even the medicines, like here in our culture, so it is the place where the Ayurvedic knowledge originated. So in the Ayurvedic knowledge, like cannabis is one of the most important plant in order to make medicines. So there already are, there already were like many medicines that were like made, but later on this regulation came in the picture, but this regulation is not empowering the people.
Yeah.
So hemp is there actually to empower us, because today we don't have no choice. There is like ESG, there is like sustainability, everyone is talking about it. Our prime minister is talking, like, oh, we are going to like be net zero by 2030. But like they are just talking, they are not
It's no
feeling it.
connection. Where
Yeah,
where is that disconnect that hemp is that tool to accomplish those ESG scores, right? Or to maintain a healthy carbon footprint or to reduce the impact that we're making. It really is re-educating about what hemp is, right? We have this
yeah,
tool.
yeah. It's an
It's
amazing tool, and now people are also using it,
mhm.
because like fossil fuels and everything, so basically even like electric cars, it requires a lot of like water. So we have like limited resources for the planet, and hemp, unlike cotton, uses a very less amount of water in order to grow. And
Sure.
it also like purifies the air. It also like purifies the soil, because today we are also destroying the soil. There are like in one of the meetings we had with the government today, we talked about how we need to stop GMO seeds, because there are all these big corporations, they kind of like, yeah, they picturize themselves, like as something very nice, and they have got like very advanced things to offer, but they offered like corn seeds, and that we tried to grow in some of the places, and now nothing else grows there.
Oh, yeah.
So like it's heartbreaking, and people like the farmers and the people who are in the lower like tire, they get affected, because someone wants to just like profit, but they don't understand what is the actual like profit they need to get. It's not just about like making like money on top of money. Definitely it needs to be sustainable, but not at the cost of like humanity, because we have only one earth, and
Right.
like we
Right.
need to take care of it.
So I want to give a real quick shout out to all of our members and everybody that's listening today. There's quite a few of you on, so thank you so much. But we talk about, companies and large organizations that are utilizing hemp within their materials, and Patagonia is doing a killer job at it. Patagonia has actually recently reached out, and we've partnered up to get some hemp wear. Their workwear has a ton of hemp in it. It's a key product to their supply. And so, out of thank you to our farmers, they'd like to gift our farmers some workwear gear. So, if you guys are part of Global Hemp Association and are interested in getting some free workwear, please reach out to me and I'll get you the order form. You as well, Pratik, if you are interested,
Yeah, I
send over
definitely want that.
some material. Yeah, because really, this
Yeah,
is a thank you to the hard work. Don't stop as farmers, right? It's the hardest job, the way that our economy has been set up. It really has been take from farmer and give to capital, the capitalism. And so,
yeah,
really, as an appreciation to say thank you for everything you're doing, and a huge shout out to Patagonia for using the material, right? Hemp is a stronger, better fiber, and their life cycle analysis have proven that. And so, just a real quick blurb and shout out to them, because it's right along this line of the value of that textile grade fiber, and the need to really localize that supply, not just in Nepal but in each area where the demand is.
exactly.
That's awesome.
So
So tell me a little
yeah.
bit more about what your organization has brewing over this next year. What does it mean for you guys as a country and through the company? And then what do we really need to focus on for change in order to really penetrate markets?
So I think we need to focus on the structure, and we need to get the basics right. So that is what we have been doing. We have been collecting data, like we have been like working on the backbone, of everything we speak. For example, like if we are speaking about carbon, we have been researching like over the 2 years, like how in the forest the hemp is growing, and what is the data. And, if we are wanting to grow more, then how can it transform? So once like we have these pilots that are proved, like in our country, we have a big problem of the shortage of insecticides and pesticides. So farmers, they have a huge problem, so that's why we came across biochar. So this plant, rather than like just burning the stalk before, like they're just burning the stalk, they're just using it for the fiber and for the leaves and the flower, but that is a gray market. But now they are going to open it. But this stock that they were just like burning, and they were kind of like impacting the environment in a negative way, it could be turned into biochar, it can be turned into bioplastics, it can be turned into hempcrete. So now, since we have been creating all these examples, it is time for us to also, get the structure stronger, and get like also like bigger institutions as a part of it, because they want this story. They want to have the Himalayan story. They want to have the place of origin story, So I think this story would connect humanity back to its roots. So this root can be in their country itself. Like you said, like every country needs to think about how they can be self-sustainable. So I think with hemp, the sky is the limit. You can have like clothes, you can have shelter. And for us, because like I have also been working in India. So in India, it took us like, because the regulations were so challenging there. So it took us like around 2 years just to find the right genetics, that grows below 0.2, 0.3. Usually like what used to happen, we used to get the seeds from like elsewhere, and then we used to try it, and basically it says that this is like below 0.2, but the environment is as such that when you grow it, then there is more. So finally, like we have also like acquired the license in order to grow in India, and since it is like a neighboring country, uh, it is one of the biggest market, and there is no enough like supply. So we are kind of like connecting our supply chain there, and we have also built some industries there. So we are also looking to penetrate that market. So also like for hemp seed oil, because like we have so much of raw material here that are going waste, because Nepal is a like very small market, and there is still a lot of stereotype and stigma. People like look at this ganja as like ganja. Sometimes we show them the clothes and they tell us, oh, like if we wear these clothes, would we get high? So obviously not, but now we are also looking in order to make them aware. So politically also a lot of people are coming, and they are also getting to see, oh, like we can also make glass out of this plant. We can also have this product out of this plant, this product out of this plant. So now they are like opening up. So our goal is to have like best regulation that would regulate like medical cannabis as something else, fiber as something else, not all under like one thing. And so we are also looking for a regulation that would like protect the indigenous seed, and also have a place for the hybrid seeds, because many companies, they have been like writing to me, they want to come to Nepal because the tax systems outside, it is very complex. And Nepal, it does not require a lot of like money. It is cheap in order to produce, in order to grow. So that's why like they want to come here. And if they are going to import it, they feel it is going to be easier for them, because the like state regulations are very complex in America. But it is great to see also in America right now, there are, I guess, like 6 companies that are working like with textiles. They are coming up with big projects. So it is an age of collaboration. So there is no competition here, because the more we are able to like share, we would be able to benefit each other.
So I say this quite a bit too, and so for those of you that have listening may have heard this before, but Pratik, are you familiar with the hemp exemption? It's a policy that's being put forward to basically reduce barrier of entry for farmers that are growing for fiber and grain, which would be a different policy than the medical or recreational cannabis production. But same thing with the intent to reduce barrier. So I'm going to share the link here for anybody that's listening. I highly encourage you to go out and support the hemp exemption, especially here for the United States. And like you said, a lot of other countries look at policy that's put in place. And really, this is a goal to say there are 2 different crops being produced: an industrial fiber or grain crop, and then a medical or a recreational consumable crop. And so, the flower itself either rots in the field during retting or runs out the combine in the back for grain production. So I'll share that link here. There's a question here. I don't know if you can read it. Let's see. I just clicked on it. Let's see if it'll pull up here. Indian manufacturers from farm equipment like tractors and harvesters, Is there manufacturing of industrial hemp processing machines, decorticators, hammer mills, and screeners, small or medium scale? There's a lot of interest in small scale processing equipment for small farm growers. Robin.
Yeah, so we have small decorticators because it would be easier for us to plug in the supply chain. Currently, there isn't the harvest like in that scale where we would have a place for a big decorticator because it requires a lot of input. But these, like small decorticators, they can definitely work a great way. So we also can, like share that, so you can get in touch with me, and like we can lead you to those products.
I was gonna ask a similar question, right? When we talk about efficiency and scale, what is there crop production that is specifically being grown for the textile grade? So you're planting it at different densities, or is most all of it just feral and it's being collected? Or are those like the sowing densities and genetics really being evaluated for quality of fiber?
So there is a certain genetic, like that is best for the fiber.
What are
so
those?
basically,
Can you share genetics?
so this is like long fiber.
Yeah.
So these grow up to 13 to like 15 feet high.
Mhm.
So these are like really big, and there are also like short genetics fiber. So these like long fiber, they are like mostly sativa land races. So basically, like they are best for fiber. And what we found out is the same seeds, when we are like planting in a different region, it has a different, different output. So there are like certain regions that are best for the fiber. So we kind of like focus there, and we kind of like collect from there. And these genetics, there are like certain genetics that even if we grow in other places, there it is like still like hilly region or like that. Because in Nepal there is one hilly region, one Tarai region. Tarai region is like more flat lands. It is mostly like sunny, hot, and not a lot of like long fiber plants can grow there. Like short fibers, they grow there, and best uses for it is like for medicines and for like recreational use. And then there is like mountainous region. So in mountainous region, you can find like purple haze. You can find like these genetics, like that are good like recreationally or like medicinally. But mostly like in the hilly region, there are like certain genetics that we are like testing out in different places, and it has like great use for fiber, and it is like local genetic.
Awesome. Well, I'd love to figure out what that is and however we can help you, continue to protect that. What does protecting those indigenous genetics mean? What does that look like as an industry and for the sake of those that are breeding or developing those genetics?
So actually, we need to kind of first identify those genetics, and before us, not a lot of people like did work on that. So what happened was, like there were these strain hunters that came to our country, that took the strains, and they went and they, kind of patented it. So, like there are like geographical indications, and there are like different genetics, like based on that. So basically, we once we identify it, we also need to patent it, and patent it not just in a company's name. It needs to be patented as a country's property.
Mhm.
So basically, like our work is in that, and we have been lobbying for it, and the government, they have finally been like openly listening towards it.
Mhm. Impressive. Well, it's definitely something that's rocky here, right? And not just here, but across the world. As we get stable genetics and clean genetics, or genetics that we know are producing a fiber to herd content, really figuring out how to protect those that have done the work. It is a very costly. Developing clean seeds is very expensive. And so Yeah, it's definitely something that's very, very important. So what's next? What is something that you guys need to really move things forward, and how do we support you the most?
So currently, like we are also looking to launch this whole brand in Web3 platforms. So we are also like looking to, like digitalize it. We are like partnering it with some exchanges. So we are also adding the, like carbon value, and even like talking about like blockchain or like crypto, like we
Mhm,
want it to be asset backed. So
mhm,
we have like around 2 million hectares of land, and there are a lot of projects that we are developing, and we were never like, and we still are not desperate, like to get investors. So there are, like, because first the values need to be aligned, and
mhm.
our value, like we are committed, okay, like we want to build a sustainable and holistic world. So for that, like anyone, because this is our world, and if we have the same vision, then we can, like work towards it. Anything you need, I'm an open guy, so I can, like share with my heart out
Mhm, mhm.
in service.
I love it. I love it. I love it. So talk to me about export and demand. Where are you seeing demand really pulling the market? I feel like right now we as an industry are rolling this huge boulder uphill and we keep hitting these huge road bumps and blocks, and then a tree falls in our way. And so what is it that's really pulling market and pulling this project for you as an individual company and for the country?
No, actually, like it is the same. It is a rocky road for us
Yeah.
also. Actually, like for hemp, like merchandise products. So Nepal basically, like was one of the first country that was able to, like offer these, like products like hemp bags and all these things. So
Yeah.
a lot of people, like they kind of like are surviving because of this industry. But now, like our goal, because like with textiles, our major market is India. So in India, like we recently established an industry where there are like 700 carpet industries. So they have, like large scale of like intake volume, but they were not confident to work with like hemp or nettle because they were not getting steady supply.
Yeah.
So like we kind of also like studied the market, and we saw like why are they not like wanting to transition into hemp. The cost, because of the logistics, because like it was being made by hand, so a lot of challenges was there, that was like not getting that scalability. But now we have been able to like solve it, and we are offering something like that others they cannot like offer. So
Mhm.
this way, basically, like we are scaling, that means like more job to the people. Our goal is to create around 2000 jobs in like small and medium scale industries, and to support like around 10,000 to 15,000 farmers. Because when I got involved in this industry, the farmers, like they used to have pain because they had these resources, but no one was buying it.
Yeah.
There was no like stable steady market. But now like with our company Udyogi Group Public Limited, so we have been able to build this market. Like we have been able to build this ground, and from this ground zero, like we are moving to 1 2 3. America is like one of the country like where we have been like exporting in large amounts currently. Like many people are there, so especially the SMEs. So like everyone is on their hustle, everyone wants to side hustle, like they want to make an extra penny. So there are like so many products that we have. So basically, like they kind of integrate these products, they like do their work, and there is like a constant demand. In Europe also we used to have a lot of orders, but right now Europe is going through its own crisis. So there is like energy crisis and everything it is facing. Even like we were in talks with like some of the companies there, and they also wanted to build like these industries there. So they are also like looking for large scale of, like these raw materials. So we are also working in order to, like supply them with that. So basically the market, because a lot of work has been done by a lot of like entrepreneurs, and they have been able to create a lot of awareness. And somehow, like people realize it, that it is the ultimate value that they are kind of looking for, the world is looking for. So that's why it is easier for us to build these products. So currently we also have developed a cosmetic line where we have over 30 products. So like what we do is
I need all this.
we
You just send it on my
yeah
way. I need all the cosmetics.
yeah definitely, yeah. So we have soaps and everything, so we have like cream, oil, and everything. So basically, like what we want is, we just like don't want like our brand to be like this. We want to be the backbone of like thousands of brands. We just do like white labeling for them. They can like put in their names, and like they can just take over. So in Nepal, currently in Nepal, India, also like we are looking to expand these brands. So we have like many partners, and like we are currently working in B2B mostly. So now we are also focusing on B2C, but we want the SMEs to benefit more. That's why we have been like staying a little back. And there are a lot of entrepreneurs, like that are making a living out of it, and that is like success for us.
Okay, so this, answer what you can, what you can't, no bother. But I'm curious, right? It's something that's discussed a lot, and as a lot of processors, especially at large scale, are putting together business plans and business models, understanding what our competition looks like from here in the US to Nepal. What is fiber going for on an export basis, right? What is the spec of fiber? I understand that if I gave you a price of say 70 cents a pound or $1.10 a pound would be very different based on quality or what end market I'm feeding into. So can you kind of talk about what do those specs look like, or how are those prices determined, and what we in the US should be looking at as far as competitive price?
So I think like for us to get the fiber from here to US, it is not practical, because even herds, like we wanted to we had a lot of inquiries from people who wanted it for animal betting, and like they wanted to like have an alternative to China. And like the world trade was like going a little different. So then we realized that because of the logistics prices, after like COVID, it was not it was kind of very difficult for us to uh, compete in the price. So developed our own technology in order to process the fiber, in order to open the fiber, in order to card the fiber. But India itself is a big market for us.
Yeah. What
So
about, what's that look? Because you said this earlier, right? And this is something that I didn't understand, but India has the infrastructure for textile development. From every piece of spinning, processing, carding, opening. Yeah, I don't know the names of all the technology or all the phases written down, but you understand the concept. And so I think that it does become a viable opportunity to create, consumer goods and get hemp-based materials into the market. And shout out to a few of our members. We've got a few members from over in India that are crushing it. So
they are doing amazing work. Like the amount of like entrepreneurs, hard work and effort that has been put, like the research and development that has been done there is like mind-blowing and is very inspiring. So that's why like we are also blessed, because our partners from India, they require like thousands of tons of raw materials. So basically like we mostly give them like carded fiber, or we give them like open fiber. So like that
what
is enough.
size? Like what's lengthwise? What do those specs look
So
like?
from 38 to around 350. So we are also looking like to develop like fiber length of around like 700 So currently we have like fibers that are like 2.5 meters long.
Okay.
So So basically, like our technology is like non-chemically processed. So
Mhm.
it's all like we developed a proprietary technology in-house. And yes, so we kind of deliver these fiber according to the requirements.
Yeah, that's exciting. And it's very different from the cotton spinning we see here in the US, right? Our technology is not wet, long spinning. It's these short staple fibers that are being
Yeah,
blended. And I think that that's a huge difference, especially when we get into like carpets. That's a huge market that
yeah,
I look at that's very exciting. Also, you see a lot of these long fibers that are needed in order to use them for a fiberglass replacement in automotive.
yeah.
Are you seeing some of your fibers moving in? Or I guess let me ask, what are those end markets that you're really targeting? Well, is it a textile grade clothing piece, or where are you really, what's the niche you're going after?
So we were like focusing mostly on textiles, but currently
Yes.
we have also, like got an interest for these, like cotton spinning, like fibers or like
Yes.
fiberglass, or even, like for paper or like this or bioplastics. So
Mhm.
so we came across a genetic, that is a short fiber and that is like perfect for this. So we have also started to like do our work on that. So what we are also doing is we are also, like connecting our global supply chain, and if anyone requires that particular, like grade of fiber, we can grow it, like around their home, and we can give it. So we have like 2 million hectares of land that is, like globally. We have it in Africa, we have it in Kazakhstan, Australia, America, also Nepal, India. So, our goal was, because how do we break this barrier of, like logistics? How do we, like kind of have this global supply chain? So
Yeah.
now I think like this problem can be addressed, because as entrepreneurs, we're just finding solutions.
Yes. What's time frame you think before we really start seeing materials move mainstream, especially with this, record high commodity prices around the globe? We're trying to move a new product in and asking large manufacturers to take a risk by changing their system or even running a test sample. The risk really is 100% on that manufacturer or processor. So, yeah,
So
what's
yeah,
your time frame you think before we really start to see
so
it?
that is the ultimate goal. And currently, like for us, in order to build the structure, in order to build the supply chain, we finally, like got the carbon story, because they want to have this QR code, like have this place of origin story, have this, like carbon, this ESG, and then this supply, and then they want to move. So it is a continuous process, like hopefully it happens soon. So maybe, like in this in next like 1 year or 2 years, it should happen. So that is the goal we are driving for.
I sure hope that that's the truth, because I'll tell you, the
Yeah.
more we talk to our seed providers here in the US, our acreage is really, really low. And it makes it
Mhm.
extremely difficult to move acres or to buy space away from some of these other commodities when they're guaranteed income for our farmers. And so I do also see major opportunity, collaborating with other countries for import export to drive the market for our farmers, fulfill supply as long as the fiber quality matches, right? And our processing is available.
Actually, like it is like this hemp biofuel, definitely it can be the ultimate solution, but the price is not competitive enough. Why would like they make hemp biofuel, then like make all these cosmetic and like all these products, because that is going to give them more benefit. But the market is the problem. So there are many, like land that are barren, because they are not able to grow like what directly goes to the market. There aren't LOIs or stuff like that. So there isn't the structure place that would like have a sustainable like development. So that's why like we have been able to like find places here in Nepal. Like we have mostly like one crop cycle. So there are like places we can have like two crop cycles, three crop cycles, and the cost of growing is also like better. Usually the seeds, in order to like get the seeds, it is like a little costly. But this is our work. The challenge is there, and that's why we are driven. as entrepreneurs, we love challenges. So let's
It's an
see.
illness. I've been let me tell you, entrepreneur illness is just. I was talking to somebody about it the other day about the hard work we still have ahead of us, and how as much as there are days that I want to throw my computer against the wall and scream and kick because it's just so slow moving or awesome process. See, I told you we'd lose one of us throughout this. Not me. Welcome back. I'm glad. I was just saying, shout out and thank you to everybody that's done such a great job in the last multiple years, 10 plus years, but specifically over this last few years, we've really started to see a transition from cannabinoid to fiber and grain production. It's exciting and opportunities there. And we're seeing large organizations like Patagonia that have dove in head first because the value is there. And so now a matter of really solving those pain points for manufacturers. And Pratik, I'm kind of curious what your feedback is as you guys have really looked to open markets and develop markets. Something I hear often at the manufacturer side, which is really who's going to be changing their processing, in order to bring hemp into the supply chain. What is the pain point we solve for them? I understand for consumers, I understand for, brands have the most to gain from this. But what about that manufacturer who really has to implement the new line? What do we need to do for them to say, hemp fits with their composites, or hemp fits in their textile spinning mills?
Actually, we need to kind of prove it because they, do the calculations. Yes. And for them, the calculations need to make sense, like one thing they are not convinced is that, we would be able to supply what they require. And we would be able to supply steadily and at the price they require. So if we are able to, solve this pain point, then, they are kind of open. They want to go, with hemp, the automotive industries and like that. But, they are not convinced. And we also have not been able to prove. We might be very optimistic, about this, but we have our pains. The work on ground is very tough. There is a lot of struggle. We have to work with different regulations and different countries, especially when we are talking on a global scale. It is very challenging. So it is a work in process, but the dream is there, and let's keep working for it.
Yes, we're making progress. So I'm going to share your website also. And I'd love to get some samples from you or make some orders. So let's jump on a call after this and I'll get that from you. And then I'll send you over the link as well, because if I'd love to send you or one of your farmers within your network some hemp wear from Patagonia. So shout out again to them.
Amazing.
I just think it's so cool for our farmers to see where their material is going. What difference is it making into a name brand? And then when you get a chance, log on to Patagonia's website. They just did an awesome little clip. I think it's a 12-minute video with one of our farmers in North Carolina growing hemp, raising money to help him secure farm acres and development of his property as well. And so this isn't just it really does take a group effort from the media, the membership, the farmers, the support, the education, and so forth. So I appreciate everything you guys are doing. If there's anything we can do, I'd love to help support you further. And then thanks also to everybody that's listened. We've had some great listeners and great group of people chiming in from LinkedIn, Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch today. So also, this will be edited and reshared on multiple podcast channels. So if you're not one to get online and actually watch the video, you can log on to Spotify, Moving Forward with Mandi Kerr, Apple, Google, and multiple other channels. I think there's 350 interviews published now with contact info. So it makes it nice to build relationships and really connect. But Pratik, before we log off, anything else you want to share? Any shout outs you want to give to anyone you're working with?
So I would like to give a shout out to the Australian Hemp Association, to Ryan. They have been doing amazing work. So I also want to give a big shout out to all the entrepreneurs who are working with hemp. Also in India, amazing work there. In America, So also like my people here, so we are also looking to do a hemp festival here. So getting, so we are building the ground. So let's get together and let's build together. Thank you for all of your work.
Yes, well, I would love to come and visit. I want to see some of those farms, and I would love to see some of the processing and participate and learn. And so when you get this up and going, count me in. I'm happy to share with our network. It would be great.
It would be great to have you here. This is your home.
I love it. I love it. I love it. You know, I have this problem every time I travel. Within being there a few minutes, I do wonder, like, where can I live here? You know, how do I stay? So I may not.
You have my home. You have my home. So yeah, you can live. You know, like you can live. There is your home. It is your home. So yeah, we are very hospitable people here.
I love it, love it, love it. Well, thank you so much. Thank you, everybody else, for listening. Please chime in later this afternoon. It is a Zoom link this afternoon. We won't stream live. We may actually go live on YouTube, but it is not the same as this. It's actually a Q&A opportunity to dive in with Seth Boone and Julie Lerner from Hemp Exchange. But really excited to dive into what markets look like. They are in the commodities industry on a big scale. And so being able to see, like, where is hemp really at? What is true potential this year, next year, and the following year, so that we kind of have a realistic expectation. But thank you very, very much, everybody, and we will see you next time. Signing off.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Pratik. Have a great day.
Bye-bye.